Hello everyone. In the previous tutorial, we added a custom domain name to our deployed website that is built using the Django REST Framework. In this tutorial, we are going to learn how to secure it using HTTPS. My custom domain is kickoffdata.com, and you'll notice that we get this error, and this is because the site isn't secured using HTTPS. So before we get started, I want to make a couple of changes to our Docker file. I'm going to remove the entry point and write a custom command that will run on startup when we start the web container. So to do that, you're going to have another key of command. So basically what you're going to do, you're going to replicate our entry.sh file, which are the commands to run our Gunicorn backend, our migrations, our collect static files, and our custom command which populates the player database. So we are going to have this in multiple lines. So we are going to have that and say sh and say shc, and here we are going to have, and here we are going to write our custom commands. The first command should be the one to activate our Gunicorn server. So we are going to copy this and paste it in. So that will be our first command. And we are going to say and have our second command, which will be our migrations. And again, and the third command should be our collect static. Can paste that in. And finally, we run our custom command, which is load JSON data. There we have it. So in our web container, which is responsible for building our Django project, runs or gets built, it's going to run these commands in order. So I'm just going to bring this down and proceed to create our Certbot container and edit our Nginx configuration. So in our Nginx configuration, as you can see here, we're exposing port 80, and that is why we are able to access our website on the port 80, which is HTTP. So we also need to expose the port 443, which is responsible for HTTPS. So we can have that as 443. After that, we can proceed to create a new container, which will be responsible for handling our Certbot. So we can have it as Certbot. Then you can specify the image. The image is Certbot. Let's go Certbot. And we simply want the latest. Then we also need to specify volumes. The volumes are going to be shared between Certbot and Nginx because most files between Certbot and Nginx need to be shared. So we are going to copy the Nginx configuration. So I'm going to copy that and paste it in. We're also going to add another volume where Certbot will store its configuration files, keys, and certificates. And this volume will be called Certbot sats. So Certbot sats, and this volume will be in etc, and let's encrypt. We are also going to create another volume that Certbot will use to create its temporary files, and these are the challenge files for domain creation and renewal. So Certbot sats data, and we're going to have it in this directory, which is the var lib and let's encrypt. And finally, we are going to create one more volume that will allow Nginx to serve challenge files stored by Certbot, and we're going to call it let's encrypt webroot. And this will be going, and this is going to be very similar to this. So you can just copy this and have it under webroot. And with that, we have our volumes completed. We just need to copy them and paste them in our Nginx container. So in our volumes, you can paste that in. We fix the indentations. And yeah, that should be ready. And finally, remember that Certbot depends on Nginx, so we can pass that key. So it will depend on Nginx. So your Certbot will only start up when Nginx is up and running. The next step is to modify our Nginx configuration. At the moment, we only have this. So we are going to add another location that will allow Nginx to get the challenge files from Let's Encrypt. And this location will be .wellknown_sme challenge. Don't forget the /. Then we are going to point it to our webroot file, which is this. It's similar to what we are doing over here on the static files. So we are going to point it at root. Under that, finally, we are going to say allow all. Let's not forget the semicolon. So, and with those changes, I think we are ready to get our certificates. We're going to add another server block for our 443 port, which will be responsible for serving up our HTTPS. But for now, let's just test that everything is working correctly. So I'm going to push this to our GitHub repo. So first of all, git status. We have modified our Docker Compose and Nginx. So git add Docker Compose .yml and nginx.conf. Then git commit the message. I'm just going to say Certbot SSL configurations. Then I'm going to push. Then finally, I'm going to navigate to my server via SSH. So over here, this is my Ubuntu instance. I'm going to say git pull to pull the changes. We can proceed to build up our containers. So sudo docker compose up build. You can see that you are getting an error. Service Nginx refers to an undefined volume Certbot sats. I think I know the reason for that. And that is because we defined new volumes, but we didn't set them in our volumes section. So over here, we need to add the Certbot sats and Certbot's data. So we can push those changes. Status. So git add docker compose .yml, git commit. The message should be new Certbot volumes. Git push. Then I'm going to pull them. Git pull. And let's build it again. That is going to build. If it builds up without any errors, we are going to proceed to get the certificates. So I think that's okay. So we can just stop this for now and run it in and say docker compose amp. We are going to run in detach mode. So you can now proceed to get the certificates from the Certbot container. So sudo docker compose, and we're going to say run, pass the rm flag. So this is Certbot, and I'm going to say cert only, and I'm going to specify the authentication method, which is webroot in our case. And we're also going to need to pass the webroot path. So webroot path, this should be equals to our webroot path, which is this. So you can just copy that and paste it in over here. So we have docker compose, run, certbot, cert only, webroot path. We're also going to need to pass the domain using the div flag. This is API kickoffdata.com. I had already generated my certificates and I was preparing for this tutorial. This is why I'm getting this information. So I have one or two options, which is keep the existing certificates or renew and replace the certificate. In your case, if you're doing this for the first time, they're going to ask for your email address and some more information. And you can just follow the steps and generate the SSL certificates. For now, let me just select option 2, which is renew and replace that certificate. And yeah, we have the certificate saved. Eventually, you should get the following message as successfully received certificate is saved at. So after that, we need to configure our Nginx to work with HTTPS. To do that, I'm just going to copy this and have it down here. On our port, I'm going to specify 443, and this should be SSL. Server name should be the same. We're also going to specify the paths to our SSL certificate. SSL certificate, and this should be in this directory, etc let's encrypt, underscore live. We saw this earlier. This is then underscore live, then our domain api.kickoffdata.com underscore fullchain dot pem. We also need to specify the SSL certificate key. SSL certificate key. This will be more or less the same as this. I can just copy it, paste it in, and instead of full chain, this will be priv. This will be priv key dot pem. The location should remain the same. The SME challenges should remain the same, and the static should also remain the same. We don't want to lose access to our static files. And finally, we need to redirect our HTTP requests to our HTTPS requests. So to do that, we're going to remove this block over here, this location block. We're also going to remove this because we have it in our for our HTTPS endpoint. So we're going to remove that. Then you're going to add a new location for redirecting HTTP to HTTPS. So location, this will be empty for now. Here we are going to return a redirect status code. So return 301, and you're going to redirect them to HTTPS underscore host underscore request URI. Don't forget the semicolon to close it up. So with that, I think we are ready. I just need to push the changes. So git status, git add nginx dot configuration, git commit, message redirect HTTP to HTTPS, git push. Then here I'm going to say sudo docker compose, I'm going to bring everything down. Then I'm going to say git pull. So after pulling those changes, we can now rebuild our container. So sudo docker compose up, and let's say build. So the server is running. We can test if everything is working correctly. So, and you can see when we navigate to our HTTP endpoint, it should automatically redirect it to HTTPS. So we have that, and you can see we are no longer getting that error. Our connection is secure, and everything should be good. And finally, we'll also need a way to automatically renew our certificates. That is because they expire after some time. So we can stop this, and I'll show you how to do that automatically. So the command is sudo docker compose run certbot, and we want to renew, and we say dry run. You should be able to get this log. Account register, simultaneous renewal of existing certificates. Congratulations, simultaneous renewal has succeeded. So that is correct. So that has worked well. So this certificate will expire after 90 days, and we don't want to keep on doing this manually. So you're going to create a cron task to automatically renew these certificates every 30 days. You can generate the cron task from this website, Crontab Guru, and you can see we have the minute, hour, day, month, and day of the week. I want to renew the certificates at 12 a.m. at the first of every month. So that is 00. The day should be first. So I'm just going to copy this and go to crontab.e. I'm going to use nano. Can paste that in, Control V, and the command should be usr _ bin. That should be docker compose, and here we are going to point it to our YML file, Ubuntu, and we say run. This will be very similar to the command we ran earlier. Certbot, and we're going to say renew, but we're going to pass the Q flag, which is for quiet, and we pass, and finally we need to pass the web root path. And remember, we defined our web root path over here, so we can just copy that again and paste it in, and I think with that we are ready. So this command will run at the first. We run at the first of every month at 12 a.m. So I can save that and save, enter. So with that, I think that's it for this tutorial. We've seen how you can add SSL certificates to your Django application when using Docker. In the coming tutorials, I'm going to show you how you can set up a CI/CD pipeline, that is continuous integration and continuous deployment using GitHub Actions. If you found this video useful, consider giving it a thumbs up and subscribing for similar content. Thank you for watching.